I have always been thinking about it since I was a college student, but I was not brave enough to say this in public. There isn't actually a big difference between working a full-time job and living in a prison. First of all, if you live in a prison, you listen to the warden's orders, and in a company, you listen to your seniors. In both cases, their commands are absolute, which means you can't go against them. And then, both places have rigid schedules. Most companies have a fixed check-in time, and if you're late, you'll be beaten up. I mean, you won't get beaten up, but will definitely get some kind of punishment, like losing the salary of that day or getting a warning letter after reaching the threshold. And in the prison, you usually would have a morning head count at 6, a fixed time for breakfast, and a fixed time for a certain task, and so on. The good thing about living in prison is that you might not need to work overtime, I guess, because I haven't been there before. And what about autonomy? For both a full-time job and living in a prison, you won't have much freedom in choosing what task to work on. I mean, you can choose for the company, and you can also choose for the job position, but you definitely can't choose which project to work on and who to work with. And you have to listen to your seniors and your bosses, just like prisoners have to listen to the warden for the same reason. And of course, you need to wear a uniform for both places, a formal dress for some of the offices, and an orange cloth for living in a prison. That's not terribly suck unless you're a fashionista, but the real worst thing for both places is that your physical movement is restricted. If you're an ordinary office worker, you're likely to sit in front of your desk 95% of the work time and 5% time for breaks, like going to the toilet. Instead of locking you with metal handcuffs, which are usually made of steel, you're locked by the golden handcuffs, your paycheck. You didn't realize the time when you signed the contract. You were just selling your soul to the company with a certain price tag, your salary. Fortunately, you just get locked for 8 to 12 hours, but not 24 hours like a real prisoner. But you can still call yourself one-half prisoner or one-third prisoner depending on your daily working hours. And you might say, oh, my company have a really good promotion opportunity. But the fact is that every time you get promoted, you just get your golden handcuffs upgraded to a heavier one. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did something great to the company. And with the upgraded golden handcuffs, you're less likely to leave the company and need to accept even more responsibility in the workplace. And you might also say something like, oh, I need to get a full-time job because I need to survive. Well, living in a prison can also guarantee that you would survive. I'm not encouraging any of you guys to commit a crime in order to be a prisoner. My point is that being able to survive is not that hard nowadays. So please, if you don't want to be something close to a prisoner, don't get a full-time job.